Welcome everybody to the Dope and Tape Show. This is pretty cool. So I don't think we've been solo until our first episode when we didn't know what we were doing. We were like, are we live? I don't know if we're live. Are we live? And then I think we tried to do a solo, just me and Bobby before, and then we ended up just rambling about stuff, and I thought it was terrible. Like, we didn't get anywhere. We were just kind of talking about this and that, and then we went off topic. But tonight, we're going to talk about new construction. We're going to talk about how to be a good foreman. And we're going to do this from our experiences in new construction, as well as large service jobs, and just kind of being in the industry, being around it, and seeing what works, what doesn't work, different personalities, different types of foremen, and how those crews react to those kind of foremen. We're going to talk about how to structure your crew and deliveries, safety, job meetings, how to manage large jobs. We're going to talk about all that. And then definitely in the comments below, tell us what you think. If you have questions for us, I have about 3 years new construction service. 2 of those pretty much new construction, and then 8 years inspections, as well as doing service, usually on pre-action and fire pumps. And then I did a lot of service. I like add relocates when I was an inspector too.
Yeah, what's your question, Clash? Continue, Bry, sorry.
Yeah. So we're going to get into it, and I'm excited about this. This is something that we haven't done. Normally we interview and hear stories and kind of talk about the industry, but I think this is kind of a topic that we can help a lot of people. And then also we have our friend that we got a message from today. He's one of our OG listeners, and he's going to be a foreman. He's super excited. So we're like, this episode is going to be perfect.
No, I think he's gonna be a super.
A superintendent?
Yeah, he's already a foreman, bro.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's a van guy. Clash, so TI stands for testing and inspection. Right? Testing and
Yeah,
inspection. When he's saying
right.
TI, he's saying testing and inspection. Yo, Leon, I'm the guest, bro. Am I not good enough for
So
you?
I will be interviewing Bobby. If you do
Am I
have
not
some,
good enough? It's gonna be an interview style. We're gonna let Brian run it. We'll see how he does. You guys know.
we
You guys,
figured that
you
that
guys
would
know the
be.
deal with that.
Yeah, this is our first time doing this, and I figured it because if we just talk and it's not structured, it's gonna go all over the place. So I'm gonna be the interviewer, and he's gonna be the interviewee. Interviewee.
Can you
Yeah, there we
say
go.
the state that I'm from real quick? Just for recent, well, I just
I'm just
shared
gonna
that.
say, Mass,
No, hit
Boston.
the whole thing, kid. Come on, for good old good time's
I
sake.
have trouble with that one, man.
I know you do. That's why I love it.
Massachusetts.
That's
That's
pretty.
better.
That's good.
That's pretty good,
That's
right?
very good. That's very good.
The
Thank you
state
guys.
I'll never visit in the winter.
If you guys want to be so kind to share this, like this, do something. We really appreciate you. 630 subscribers. I'll say it now so I don't have to interrupt Brian when he's boring us all to death later. And Wayne, what
So I
up?
was a foreman on 2 new construction jobs, and I've been the foreman on a lot of service jobs. But typically, when I was on the service job side, it was me and an apprentice, as well as in inspections. I ran large inspections as well. So inspections is a whole nother world for me. But as far as the topic today of being a foreman, I did 2 new construction jobs. One of them being it ended up being very difficult. It was so at the airport here in Hartsville Jackson, you have the wings, right? The terminals. So above the terminal is where like the lounges are. So on one of the terminals, I did the new construction job for I believe it was a Delta Sky Lounge. And that was so many obstacles that I had to go through, and I learned a lot on that job.
Are you like piping heads into clouds?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah. No, it's usually because
But
there's
also
usually
the
those
sounds,
air
the
those
sound the planes are right there.
Oh
So you had
wow.
to deal with the sounds. And the problem, I would say one of the hardest days I ever had is I had my crew fitting pipe because I needed to keep um the problem is we missed a day on fitting pipe for whatever reason I don't remember. So I had to get my crew fitting pipe. So I didn't have a lull or anything like that, but pipe was delivered and just dropped on the ground.
Oh,
We're talking this is about 8 to 9 floors, and then it was a permanent metal back to back staircase, kind of not spiral, but just back to back and goes vertical up. And I had to carry each piece of pipe and kind of move it from the bottom to the top, from the bottom to the top. And I did that all day, and that was the only day that I had to sleep on the way home. It was it was terrible. But I could not do that because I couldn't have my guys because I run a crew and I think you do as well, Bobby, but I run a crew of three.
Discord won't open for me. Yeah, crew. Well, if I'm using lifts, if I'm using scissor lift, the 3-man is the best.
Yeah,
If there's
which we
no if
were.
there's no scissor lift, I just want me and a guy.
So we were on a lift and so I had a crew of three. There was four of us, and I was the foreman. So I didn't want to take it someone off of there. So I ran the pipe because it was the hardest job and I needed the apprentice there to cut cut pipe so we can hang
You
it.
got to take one
And
for the team. Is anyone in here
yeah.
from the Discord? Can you go in the Discord group, do at everyone, and just let them know we're live? Discord won't load for me. I tried to grab the link earlier to reshare your thing, and I couldn't get it to load.
Hmm.
It just sits. Maybe I gotta update it or something.
Yeah, probably. That's another thing too.
Daryl, what up? Fire sprinkler guy, Justin. Thank you everybody for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way in. Appreciate you guys.
I also think like the foreman needs to be the example, the person that leads and gets after
That
it.
one that's
So
got
sometimes
a
if
guy
things
that's got to
stop,
you
the
got to
foreman
stand
handles
up
it.
at the one that's got to stand up at 6 o'clock and get
Yeah,
everybody else to stand up, or 6:30, or 7, or
because
whatever
they're
your start
watching
time
you.
is. Yeah, well, if you sit there,
Absolutely.
if your start time is 6 and you sit there till 6:05, unless you got a couple real good guys under you, everyone's gonna sit there till 6:05.
Oh yeah,
They'll
and
sit
they'll
there,
watch you,
they'll
and then
sit
they'll
there
be
till
a normal thing.
6:08.
They're like, "Oh, he'll just sit
They'll
there." But
start they'll start
yeah,
talking about things you're interested in at 5:58 to try to get you all wound up into conversation and just talk you till 10 past. Happens to the best of us.
oh yeah, absolutely,
You've been waiting all day for
absolutely.
this, Daryl? We appreciate that.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. So, what's your kind of experience level? Because I kind of talked about my experience
Yo,
and
what
what
up,
I've
Chad?
ran, but what's your experience as being a foreman? Like years, some of the projects that you worked on, some example of the side.
Day one picture, I'm in the passenger seat. For my first 3 years, from day one, I'm in the passenger seat of a general foreman, listening to every phone call, going to the shop, just seeing how the operation goes. It's pops. He's all. Not only am I trying to take it all in and absorb it, but he's like trying to teach me things, and he's putting me with key players that are gonna teach me good things. He put me with the first couple guys that I was with to teach me all the real key things. But as I think it is down there, up here in 2008, 2009 when I started, you could be a foreman like as an apprentice, whether it was illegal or whatever it was. You'd be 2 years in, you might be working alone. You might even be in a truck,
That's how
and
it is in the South
and you're still working on that
or
mat at.
anywhere non-union, I believe, unless you're in like California or Las
And
Vegas.
that's not like for everybody, but it definitely happened, and it happened more than maybe it should have. And I don't know if it still happens, but either way, once you become a journeyman, you kind of you get your truck you get a truck right away if you're non-union. But anyways, I was running work almost instantly as an apprentice in my when I switched to a different company in my third and fourth year as an apprentice. I was like the number two guy. It would be a two-man crew, so we did a 400,000 foot high school 400,000 square foot high school that we retrofitted, the high school that I graduated from in 2008. I was retrofitting in 2011. And it was just myself and a foreman. Um, Shout out to Dougie Fresh. Taught me a lot. And we were only about a quarter, maybe halfway through that job when I got my license in the mail. I took my test, I passed it, first try, got my license in the mail. I sent a picture of that to the office. That next week was gearing me up for Dougie to get pulled and go do his own job. And I took that job over. So that was like the first like real
Wow,
that was the first real one, I guess. And that one was sentimental to me because I went to high school there. Like my parents went to high school there. When I was putting pipe in, I met little Bobby there. I met Will there. A lot of the guys I work with still today, I met on that job. We were all kind of, it was in the beginning, and the teachers all remembered me, the deans, the principals, like everybody was still there. It was so recent. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to do and to see through. And right from there, I went to a middle school. No, we did a whole bunch. We actually did a whole bunch of little ones. I was doing all these little ones, but the next big one, non-union, was a middle school that I did, and it was at times there was a few of us, but for the most part it was just little Bobby and I. The whole school with a gymnasium and a cafeteria, and that was where we were in the union turf, and that's ultimately how I got in the union, was on that job.
Oh wow. And then how was that transition?
That was a tough transition.
Yeah.
That was a very, very tough transition.
What made it
Uh,
tough?
just the dynamic of politics and like the way that I was brought in. I feel like I was pretty good at what I was doing, and since I was on a job where literally every trade was union except for myself, little Bobby and me. I talk about this where they hung my gang box and they would drill holes in my pipe. And so the union was knocking on my ladder essentially. Like they were leaving business cards all on my cart and in my machine, and then they were telling me that they wanted me to come in. And so I like obviously everyone that I asked said that I should do this. Like this is something that I should do. Even my father's like you got to jump with both feet. I said okay. And so, but when I got in, the guys in the union didn't like how I got in, as if it was my fault.
Hmm.
So it was I came in with a big target on my back. Like for sure. Backdoor Bobby.
Ah, backdoor Bobby. Oh my goodness.
Local 550. I was like the 549. On Fridays they all go out to breakfast. I would show up to the shack. The shack would be empty. There already I all went without me. So that was like the first year and a half. Like it was kind of it kind of sucked because coming from where I was, it was much more of a brotherhood at that time.
That's
And
stressful.
where I worked with
Go through
where I
that.
worked where my father worked, and I still stay in contact with a lot of those guys. We all dispersed different ways. A lot of guys ended up in the local, and we're all kind of back together. But yeah, it was more of like there was more friendships definitely made before. But so I once I got in and I met a few people, and I got I made it through the probationary period and I got sworn in and whatnot, and I met a few people. I was able to switch companies because as a union member, you can solicit your own work. So there's, I should know this number off the top of my head, but say that there's 30 or 40 companies in Local 550, you could essentially get, any member could essentially get the phone number to all of those outside supers at all those companies and could call them for a job if they wanted to and leave a voicemail and say, hey, I'm Brian, I'm a pretty mediocre inspector.
Yeah,
If
I'm
you
just
if
decent.
you could if you could give me a shot.
I
And so that's what I did. I called someone who was already working at where I am, and I said, do you think you're hiring? And he's like, we seem busy. I'll give him a call. And so he called and he said, hey, I got a guy that's looking for a job. And he said, all right, give him my number, have him call me. And the guy's like, you know, I could hire you right now.
wow.
And
So
so,
I worked under the table in high school.
yep,
Um
it's the best way to do it.
yeah, it was just put on a hard hat and a vest and don't talk to nobody. Just go hang that pipe and if anybody talks
I
to
was
you, you're
able to get
mute.
I was able to get a temp like a temp worker. Like at 17, I was able to get like a temp worker, like summer help or
Oh yeah.
something.
Yeah, this was back mainly when I was like 15.
Oh yeah, that's young.
Yeah. So,
I was a paper boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Joe Rogan was a paper boy up in
Not a
Boston.
typical paper boy. So we would go late night. Shit, this was like man, we were young. I was like 13. I was like 14. And we would go at like midnight on Fridays, and you would stuff the comics in the newspaper, and you would stuff all the ads in the newspaper. I think you would do it like five. You would do one, two, three, four, five, and then you would turn it one, two, three, four, five, and then you would bundle it. And we would do that for like I don't know, I think till like 5 in the morning, and we'd have to load all the vans so they could go out at 5 in the morning.
Whoa.
And that was fun. Like we had a lot of fun there. I was making shit. I think I was making like 6.25 an hour.
I think they pay me. Well, I'm not gonna say what they paid me because I was like 15. It was
Yeah.
It was I had a job and it was the summertime I had to work. That's what it was. But when I was of age, my dad said
Six
that I
months.
needed to go and earn my stripes somewhere else, not under him. So I went somewhere else and worked there. I was a service apprentice, new construction apprentice, wherever they need me. I just went. They put me kind of with different interesting people because always had a good like I was a little pushy, like, hey, let's get to work. Let's get to work, even as apprentice.
Justin
And
was
I
running
tried
work
to
after 6 months.
do what?
They had Justin running work after 6 months in 2011. That's pretty crazy. And
Oh
Chad said
wow.
that his third week in sprinklers, his journeyman handed him a set of prints for a 10 square foot install and
Shut
went on
up.
vacation for a month. 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Hey, Daryl, nobody cares. Nobody cares, Daryl. You know? So you got something better to do?
That's what I tell my son. And he
Yo, what
says, well, I
up,
did this. I go,
Chandler?
no one cares.
No one
So
cares, yeah.
you're a man. No one
Daryl,
cares, son. You'll learn this.
Daryl's trying to, it's tough to, yo, I'm in control over here, Daryl, so I don't have to, I don't have to read what you're writing, you know? All right, hit me with the
Yeah,
interviewer.
absolutely.
What do you got?
Absolutely. Let's
Come on, do something.
let's just start with some questions as being a foreman, okay? And I would say the the first thing is we've seen tons of foremans and we've seen how they interact and we see their personality as a foreman and you have pushy foreman, the angry one, the one that's lazy, the one that's unorganized, you have the one that's micromanaging. Out of all these ones that we've seen, what have you kind of seen? I'm sure you picked a little bit from everything,
You have
but
to.
how is your attitude as a foreman on a job? Let's say for example, every job that we're going to talk about for most part, unless we say is a three crew job, and you're the foreman.
All right,
I'd say that's a decent size,
that's pretty. That's a pretty typical size
Yeah.
sprinkler, I guess. Job. Yeah. Boom. I'm working with them, guaranteed. Like if you're on a small crew like that, you are part of the crew. So you gotta. I guess depends on how I like lasers. I'll be using lasers. See, on a three-man crew, I'm a working. You have to be a working foreman. I hope everybody would be a working foreman. But going to the personality thing, I've worked for all those types of people, and I know my ambition level during being treated by all those different personalities, whether it was like the funny foreman or the laid back foreman or the fucking asshole foreman or the unorganized foreman. Like you get all these different guys over the years and you're just like, well, I'm not gonna do that. Or I'm definitely going to do that. And you learn bits and pieces. You learn what to do and what not to do. And you also know, and you have to remember that feeling of how you felt when, like, say you made a mistake. Say you made a stupid mistake. Say you made a mistake twice, but that guy just fucking screamed at you. Do you feel like going and fucking working hard now?
No.
Not at all. Not only did you just fuck up and you got your tail tucked because you're mad at yourself, and maybe you did it again, and maybe some of the rest of the crew seen how much of an idiot you are, and now this guy's yelling at you. I'm not
Because
doing.
as a
I'm not gonna do
any
shit the rest of
trade,
that day. You're gonna yell at me. You can't yell. You
you have a
can't.
lot of pride in your work.
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do.
Right. And people make mistakes. But also, it is pretty annoying when people are making the same mistakes over and over. But you
Yeah.
always got to revert back to did you do that? But did you explain yourself well enough? Did you set them up good enough? Is the print confusing them? I feel like the prints are never consistent on what they look like.
How so?
That happen for you? I just feel like we get a lot of different looking prints.
Now, you talking about paper prints or
Yeah, paper
like you said
prints.
you use
Paper prints and like
Procore?
the type of I use Procore on like a small job within the hospital that we might not
Mm.
have prints for. And I can go on to say Suffolk Procore and pick that job and look at the reflected ceiling plan. That's what I would use Procore for. Is if I'm
When you
out
say it's different, what do you mean by that?
like I feel like it's not like the symbols aren't not all generic. Like so the one big job that I ever did where there
So
was
as
20
far as
plus guys.
symbols go, so different unless it's set in stone at your office, whatever office you are in, I do this as a print. I mean, as when I do my estimates, is I pick whatever I think will be good for this.
Needed to stand out. So for instance, the big
Yeah,
job
I needed to stand out. So if
we
I think in this situation, this triangle or this target is better for this thing in this
we did the
area, I'll
job
do
with
that.
23 people and we had almost 5,000 heads. And buddy, in an area where we had extended coverage, we had high temperature near hoods. There was three different type of heads in this area, like 200 of them. And he put them all the same symbol, but then he put a little letter, a small little letter next to the symbol. So it would be like it was all the exact same looking head and then it would have like an A next to it or a fucking T.
Oh, well, that's the designer for sure.
And you're like you just see all these different instead of just like putting a T or a fucking circle, you know, a fucking X and
Yeah.
a
So
T,
in that
bud.
example, if I'm doing estimates, I mean, I'm not a designer, but I will do like a vertical line for this one, or and then a square for that one, or
Ooh,
X
square
for
guy,
that one.
huh?
Like it very noticeable, very
It's
noticeable.
kind of sink or swim. Yeah, that's how it was for me. Sink or swim.
Oh,
Mistakes
for
are
sure,
great if
sinking
you learn.
slow.
Yeah, you have
And
to
as
learn
far
from
as
the
like
mistake.
motivating,
You can't keep making the same mistake over and over.
no, no.
That's
And then what
big.
do you do for the guys that do
Do.
keep making the mistake over and over and over?
I think so for me, and a lot of people might disagree with this, but I think that you need to publicly humiliate them in front of the crew. You need to like make it like for instance, when I made a mistake, my dad would tell my mom about it, like at dinner when we got home,
Oh, yeah, join the club. My dad did
and we would
too.
talk about it again.
My whole family
And
knows about it.
so
Yes.
like if you made a mistake and it was it like the thing about mistakes is that I'm pretty good at like I could take a bunch of shit down real quick and fix a mistake. I could go back a little ways and fix a mistake. I could add to the rods. I could cut the rods. I would automatically generate a solution to whatever you fucked up, and we would fix it really quick. And if depending on how you presented yourself or how bad it was, maybe we could just like put it behind us and you could work through your lunch or something to make up for it. But then if you go doing it again, then I'm gonna tell like the second in command foreman like, hey, did you hear what fuckhead did? And then like talk about it in front of him to him, and
Mhm.
have everybody talking about because then they'll remember that moment of that,
Yeah, that's something you wouldn't
and then
forget.
hopefully they won't do it again. And that's like the whole come back around is that hopefully they don't do it again. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say I wish Alex was in the comments, but oh, by the way, huge announcement. Sorry, Alex, my previous apprentice, he is now a nice at level 2 inspector.
Ooh, that's the first
So
time you
now
said
he can
previous.
now legally
So I like that.
obtain a license here in Georgia. He has his hours, and he's gonna be getting a truck and a raise soon. He's gonna be going out on his own. I'm super proud of him.
That is pretty cool to
Very
hear.
proud.
Let's maybe he'll check in. All right, so let me check up in the chat. It depends on the design software. Auto Sprink versus Sprinkler CAD versus Hydra CAD symbols will change, but if agree, it's nice if they were in uniform. Becky's here. Becky, some prints are too
What's
busy
up, Becky?
with too much stuff. Other prints don't have enough detail. It's a balance for sure, especially when pulling it up on a phone. So that was another thing in like the basement where we had a wet system and then there was a dry system right next to it. We had the tank fill, all the 8-inch standpipe feeds all overlaid on top of each other that we had to call and request to have just the big pipe, just the wet system. Like, can you give us a couple different? It was all on top of each other, just jammed.
Oh, that's terrible. Another thing for motivating
Highlighters.
before we
Yep,
move on to the
I'm a
next one,
highlighter guy.
yeah, I'm also a highlighter guy as well. Highlighter with a ruler. Um,
I like to do
is
that, Joe. I like to just be that guy. Like I'll do the highlighter all day. You put up a piece, I'll highlight.
I don't know. I would be so pissed off at you. Like, what are you doing? Wasting all this
Oh,
time.
you got that one done yet? Good job.
I would, so this is what I would do is I would try to give each crew a like a mission. Like, hey, I need y'all to handle this and get this done. And then make it theirs. And then I'll ask them, how do y'all want to go about this? How are you going to do this? And I'll be like, that's a great idea.
You guys are jamming.
Go
You guys are
hammer it, get it
jamming up
done.
right now in the chat. Let me move this thing.
Now, what about calling out? Because you're running these three crews, you
Mm.
know, Sometimes they call out.
Variables.
Yeah. So if they say they're sick, I tell them I want a doctor's note.
Ooh, I wouldn't go there, but if
I want
it's
a doctor's note.
like so if we're talking about a three-man crew and you calling out on me, there's you like you're getting one pass. You're gonna get one pass. And it better be just like a text and you're saying, all I want is I'm not coming in. If you try some bullshit, like your fucking toe hurts or yeah, no, I don't want to hear any. I've heard every excuse. When you run a big job, man, you hear some and you're just like reading it. Like really? Like that's what you're gonna come up with? Just like be a man or lady. Just say I'm not coming in today. Like it's an adult to an adult. You don't have to give an explanation, but just know if there's only three of us and you're calling out, you're not gonna get to do that twice. You won't do it
Well, it
twice. And
affects so many other
there's
guys
plenty of
too.
other work. There's plenty of other work, and other people will accept it. It's just like you won't be able to work with me, and I won't allow you won't
Yeah.
be coming back. But then again, like I said, circumstances on the big job where there was 23 of us, I had no choice. There was never 23 people there present. There was 23 people on the roster. We were lucky if we had 18, and they would all kind.
18?
They
How often would they? Because they would pull them from the job and send them somewhere
No,
else for
no, they would bang
emergency.
in. No, five of them would be banging in. They would be taking turns banging in. There would always be someone or something. Some of the people would have real excuses. Some of them would like tell you days in advance or whatever. Some people would have a Friday or a Monday off. They would schedule it. But like for the most part, like 18, 19 is how many we would have because of call-outs. But like
Wow.
if we were to get all mad and get rid of the guy that was calling out every Monday, like then we wouldn't have him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like we wouldn't. There was no. We were so busy that we wouldn't be getting a replacement if we were getting rid of this guy. You just had to deal with only like you. We would call. I would call him 32. Call him 32,
32.
or call him 24. Like oh, thanks.
So for those guys who
You're going
do,
for 32 this week, huh? 24.
so for those guys who do call out, do you when y'all get together for the meetings, do you mention that publicly and say, "Hey, we are having to work harder because you're calling out and you're affecting us,"
Mm, on a big crew,
or
no.
you
On
let
a
it
on a
go
big crew,
sometimes?
no, because that's not gonna. I don't think that would help the situation.
Okay, so
The
how do
whole
you handle
the
that?
whole
Just one on
crew the
one?
whole crew already knows that they're working harder, and the animosity is already growing towards the individual that's calling out. You don't have to add to it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The crew will they'll control that. Like they can all see that fucking Brian's calling out every Monday. Like that's some I don't have to point that out. We're all there in the morning at Stretch and Flex. We can see that so and so's not here again, or so and so's running in at the end of stretch and flex.
Yeah.
So
So
on a big job,
how
you got to tread lightly because there's a lot of personalities and there's a big dynamic and like
so how do you handle
they
the
could just.
different personalities? Let's say it's a 22 person crew. That's huge. And you're the
Mhm.
only foreman?
No, I was the general foreman, I guess.
General foreman. Okay.
So you break it up. You have to that could go into micromanaging. You can't be micromanaging. So we were doing a hospital, so we had patient floors. So I had a patient floor foreman. We had surgical floors, so I had a surgical floor foreman. There was three mechanical floors, so you had a mechanical floor foreman, and then we had standpipe foreman, and then I would be the
Okay.
general foreman, and then each one of these guys would have three, four, five, however many people that they would need.
But see, typically these crews, like the foreman and then the apprentice or a journeyman, like they work together and sometimes they're there together for a year. Like so that crew operates differently. And then you have all these different crews. So how do you handle do you just go at the beginning, hey, how do you like to run things? I mean, typically I would imagine everybody's kind of
No,
doing the same
I
thing
had a
or
big whiteboard, and we would yeah, everybody would be. I don't know if you would want to call it rules, but like you put the pipe label on. We're not going back and doing pipe labeling. The pipe label goes on when the pipe goes up. The end of
as
the
well
line,
as fire
the end
caulk.
of the line clip on this job we didn't own fire caulking. Because it's a hospital, they had
But
code.
if you did, then you
If
caulk
you
as you
did,
go.
and if the sheetrock's there, if it allows, you caulk as you go. Yeah, you pipe label as you go. If you're bracing, I don't want to get like, I would probably fall before we go to the next floor. There's going to be two guys that are going to fall back and do all the bracing and then clean up all the material from the rough in. But like end of the line clips, like that's all stuff that we would be talking about everybody's gonna kind of be doing the same thing. We're not gonna be going
Yeah.
back and then like adding pipe labeling when we were already there. Keep
So
the
you
pipe.
had the meeting, and then you have the stretch and flex. So let's go over meetings. And you also have meetings with the GC and
Ugh,
also floor meetings.
ugh,
So how do you go about that?
ugh. I complain the whole fucking time. I hate meetings. It's a waste of my time. It's the most wasteful time. It's so wasteful, especially for a sprinkler guy. Like, what are we
That's
talking
something I could
about?
say about new construction.
What are we
Everybody
talking
complains. It's like
about,
every
bro?
man turns into a little baby.
What are we talking about? And it was like, so we would have, oh man, we would have like, and so I would have to be there would be a surgical floor meeting. Like it would be like a 9:30. They would call it a huddle, right? It was supposed to be like a
Mhm.
10-minute huddle. It would go for 35 minutes at 9:30,
Oof.
right? And that, so I would be there with my surgical floor foreman. We'd both be taking different types of notes or whatever. Maybe I have to order something. Maybe he's got to plan something. Then I would have to go and probably go to a patient floor meeting. Then we would go to a mechanical floor meeting, and in between we would have these big foreman meetings in the job trailer with the super. And then when you have 20 guys, at one point the crews were all broken into two. There was just two-man teams. We were on like every floor. So
Two, not three, so you're on ladders.
no, we would have one. We had one-man lifts. We had crank
One
lifts.
man lives.
You would get crank lifts. No, they weren't crank. They were button. Anyways, they didn't drive. You couldn't drive them. You had to push them, and that made it so we didn't have to wear harnesses because we got the driving lifts and they wanted
Uh,
us to wear harnesses, and everyone complains about the harness. So
so let's
then
let's
we got the push
let's go
lifts.
over this first. I know we were talking about
All right,
meetings, but
hit me.
all right. So how
Meetings.
you structure your crew. All right, let's say it's very different from multiple floors
Mm,
to one slab, and then you guys go up to another one. It depends on how the GC has the new construction build laid out. But how do you structure yours? So if it's on a lift, I had three guys, or if they're in a decent size, like if you had three lifts and then you had them
if you
pretty
had
close to each other.
if you had
You
three
got
lifts,
one guy running and he's
yeah.
working. You have the apprentice. The apprentice is there to work harder than everybody else, and he should prove himself.
If I was doing three lifts, I wouldn't put the rookie on the ground. I would put the rookie in the air and put the veteran on the ground with three lifts.
Okay.
But I think that's rare to have three lifts with one guy. I think for the most
I'm just
part
kind of throwing out
I think
examples,
on average most people are working in two-man crews. And like so
Definitely in service,
when
but
we no, like doing a big job, like so little Bobby and I did Stoneham Middle School completely alone. And then Dougie and I did the first half of Leominster High School. We're talking a 400,000 square foot building that's phased out. But still, it's like between Dougie and I doing the first half and little Bobby and I doing the second half, like we put in every head. I was there for every single sprinkler head. So it's like the whole building was literally done with two people. And so when you go and you look at the hospital, we had 20 guys, but the seventh floor probably was almost completely done just by two of them. Unless there was a hot day where like the tin knockers were about to pass us, because that's another thing you gotta like all of a sudden your foreman would be like, dude, there's ten tin knockers on seven, and by Tuesday they're probably gonna pass us. And if the tin knocker passes you, then what's that gonna do? That's gonna double your install time. So then you'd be like, all right, take a couple guys from the patient,
you
take
have
a
to be
couple guys from the
faster than
patient
them.
floor, and let's get ahead a little bit.
So when I'm as far as a project manager, if I sell a new construction
The
job and I'm
chat
a
is
project
blowing
manager,
up.
I'm calling the GC to what I'm doing is calling the GC and like, how early can I get there? I want
Mm,
to get there before anybody there. I want to be there before
same.
drywall,
They're not gonna let
pin
you. They're not
knockers,
gonna tell you. You're gonna have to show up.
everything.
You have to show up and find out for yourself because they're not. They don't want you there,
You have to be there early.
and
You
they
have
don't.
to be there early to work so you don't have all these obstacles. And once your stuff's up, they're not gonna move it.
Right.
And then also you got to be there early. We're gonna get to it, but if you have a delivery, you got to get there early.
No. So deliveries on a big job is all scheduled. Scheduled 1 week in advance. I got my truck coming at 10 o'clock next Wednesday. I'll tell them a week in advance or you're not getting a delivery. The dock is literally booked up every half an hour for 3 years straight. And
At the location
and
you're at
if you
now.
want to complain about that process, they'll make you take the deliveries after hours, after work, and you'll be taking a delivery at like 3 o'clock or 3:30, and then you'll be shafted in traffic all the way home.
Oof,
So you just
man.
play by the game, but you got to make sure that all your suppliers are on time, man. We're like so we get a lot of we get shout out to Long Island Pipe, but we get a lot of pipe from them, and they're coming from far away. one little bit of traffic, literally one little bit of traffic, and I missed my half an hour window. So you got to hope that like if the plumber's next, he's gonna let you take some of his time, or maybe the carpenter, or maybe you missed the whole window completely, and now you got a truck that you got to turn away. That happened a couple times where we're turning away trucks that I just can't take.
Does that take you behind? Does that make it your project behind when that happens? And how do you handle that?
Hmm, you're never really behind. I've never been like I've never felt like I'm behind.
Yeah.
You're always
What do
like
you say that you do differently to make it where you're not behind?
I would just like if I've seen
When
if
it's
say I missed something and we were behind, or like I didn't I over something got over whatever, or bad planning or whatever it was, then I would order more guys, or I would take everybody. I would take everybody. Everybody grab your cart, grab your tools. We're going to this floor. We're gonna like play catch up, and
okay.
you'd be able to like kind of subliminally fix it just by loading it up. You'd load
And
it
the
up.
last part about meetings, when do you tell your guys to be there? Let's say start time is 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Let's say it's 6 o'clock because that's more realistic.
We always run a 6 a.m. We're running a 6
Yeah.
a.m. start. Like I mean, you better fucking be there at 6. What I can't tell you to be there earlier, but like
Ready to work
but
or there?
like a
Pulling in.
but listen, on a big union job like that, they're not gonna do stretch and flex on their fucking time. They're not gonna talk about work on their time. So at 6 o'clock, everyone says you gotta be fucking on your ladder. No, no, you don't. At 6 o'clock, we're gonna start stretch and flex because that's a work activity and it's required. So we're gonna do stretch and flex, and then we might have to do a fucking pre-task plan where we gotta talk on this piece of paper for 10 minutes. That's also something that guys aren't gonna do on their time.
No.
So at 6 o'clock, if I start reading my stretch and flex thing and I look around and you're there, then you're there. I don't know if you got there at 5:33 or if you got there at 5:55, but I know that you were there at stretch and flex
At 6 o'clock.
at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And
And safety. So going into stretch and flex, let's talk about
Cam,
safety
you
a
got
bit.
notes, huh? You're doing good. You're doing pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
You do this a lot?
No.
No.
It's first time. Only almost 90 episodes.
Fucking safety, man. So right off the bat, we had an eye injury. Um, we were every other trade did tremble. We are just now getting tremble equipment for our next jobs, but uh, somehow I think we were supposed to do tremble and we got away with not doing it. And don't ask me how. Whatever it was, we were the only trade drilling. If you're putting in 5,000 sprinkler heads, just picture how much pipe you're putting up. How many 3A shields are you
Yeah.
drilling? We were drilling like
Are y'all squinting or y'all using
no, we went. I had to go. We tried every method. No matter what, they still fucking. I swear they were sprinkling the fucking metal in their eye or something.
oh
Whatever it was. I think we were using like 1,000 shields a day at one point. Like, sorry, a week. We're going through like a case of 3A shields a week. I don't know if they were fucking taking them home or fucking throwing them at each other or what, but I was like,
yeah.
dude, we were flying through cases. But so safety on a big union job, the company owns safety. So it's not the men's responsibility to have the shit. It
Yeah.
ultimately now is my responsibility to make sure every one of these motherfuckers has their safety shit. Gloves, glasses, safety vest. Um, so I don't know if you've
Now
seen it.
gloves are kind of controversial when you're
Don't you
talking
cut
about
me off when
sprinkler
I'm
work.
talking. No, I'm just kidding.
Just saying.
I don't know if you've
Right?
seen.
What's your
We'll,
stance on gloves? Because on the machine you're not
we'll get
supposed
to
to
the
wear
gloves.
gloves, but you hang
I'm gonna
gloves.
go into the helmets real quick. Have you seen the new style helmets that everybody's pushing with the fucking chin strap?
No, I haven't seen that.
It looks like you're going
It's like a wrestling kind of thing.
spedunkling. What's it called when you go down in the
Yeah.
little holes? You go down in the
But
caves and
don't.
shit.
Yeah, I
Speduncle.
get right. What Batman
That's the kind
did.
of helmet it looks like. Or you're in Cambridge riding on a bike with little thin tires. So
Why? The other one works.
because it has a visor that they want to come down, and they want it to
Oh, wow.
but they're like $100 a pop or $150 a pop. So whatever. I inquire to get
Whoa.
these. I inquire with the company to make this huge purchase of these helmets for 20 people, and then extras for people that might come on, and we got them. And they seemed cool, and we all looked cool in the beginning, all wearing them. But what happens is they would have it down, and they would drill their shield, and then they would flip it up, and there was like a crevice that would collect it all, that would collect all the shit. And so they would when they
Oh,
flipped their visor up, all the dust would fall down into their eyes.
Oh, that's terrible.
So they were there was like a useless it was a useless like Darth Vader mask. So now
So it becomes
they're
unsafe.
wearing glasses. They got this Darth Vader thing. It's COVID. Everybody's got a 95 mask on, walking around with fogged up shields. It was wicked safe. Safety was like it was just I don't know. It wasn't even worth it at that point. It really wasn't even worth it. The safety vest. Everyone needs a new safety vest every week. They need a new pair of gloves every week. You go through a lot of shit, man. You're seeing new gloves on the ground. You see glasses right next to the shack, brand new. Safety was a big problem, and because we got an eye injury, and the fellow whose eye was injured didn't maybe necessarily handle it professionally the way that he should have. Basically, his eye got injured, and he went right home to his doctor, and his doctor told him he needs to take a day off. And Turner Construction had a conniption because it was like a lost day of work or whatever, and they had like 1,000 days without an injury. Like you know how they put up that thing that says like you got
Oh,
1,000 days without a missed hour or
right,
something.
right, right.
And now his doctor gave him a note to stay home, so they were like this is now it's after hours, and they're calling me saying you got to get this guy to come in tomorrow and see our doctor. And I'm like
Yeah,
this
I
is a
would have.
grown man with an eye injury. His doctor told him to
Yeah.
stay home. What do you want
He
me to
went
do?
to a doctor. He doesn't need to go to your doctor.
What do you want me to do? You want me to call him, tell him he needs to report in tomorrow to your doctor? I don't really feel comfortable doing that. Why don't you call him? And so from then on, the safety guy was fucking hot on us,
Oh
and
man.
we ended up having another eye injury that they didn't report till the next day. Whatever. It's if you do get injured on the job, and I've been there, and it's tough to preach it because I got metal in my eye, and I was scared to tell anybody, and I went home with it, and I slept with it, and I woke up and my eye was all rusty, and had to go to work the next day, and then the foreman sees you right away, and he's like, "What happened?" And you're like, "I got metal in my eye yesterday," and it's just like, why didn't I just tell him that day, Maybe I wasn't sure if it was there. Maybe I thought I was going to get it out. Whatever it was, there was a piece of metal in my pupil, and they picked it out with a needle. And then the chick used the deburring tool, which is essentially a little eyeball drill. And it was awful experience. It was the most awful experience. And so you'd think that
So
I'd
how do you? All right. So you're in it every day. Someone? How can someone prevent that from happening?
you got to real so you got to get good safety glasses. Like just the regular like the generic ones that are being just mass produced. And if there's like a little breeze, if you're on a high rise and you're drilling shields and there's a little breeze, there's really nothing stopping it from just going like up and under the glasses and into your eye. They make those ones that you can wear, look like you're like on a jet fighter or you're like on a Harley Davidson, and it's got like that foam that goes
The rubber.
around.
So that's what I used. I used
And
the
it's
foam one.
there it sucks. You'll see like after a couple weeks wearing them, you'll start to break up from that styrofoam shit or whatever it is sitting right there. But it will save your eyes. I like to use glasses and squint. I don't know. I'm getting pretty good. I'm getting pretty
Yeah.
good. I'm getting pretty good at the squinters. And then you keep this visor, so you get yourself situated, and then before you pull the trigger, you give it the old fitted shield, and it just blocks
All
your
right.
eyes.
Before we go into
Should we catch up? Should we
deliveries,
catch up on the chat?
yeah, that's what I was saying. Before we get into deliveries, let's talk about some chat. And this show might go a little long.
Let's see.
So
Let's go all the way back. 23. This is gonna be. Phone calls are good, but I think we should always follow up with an email so you have a record of conversations. I like that. I like to do the email record, but I just do it with text because I save all my text. If any overtime comes up, you're not getting it because you didn't show up to work on regular hours. Nah, I mean, not everybody wants to work overtime, so it depends. This business is a lot about scenarios and like circumstances too. And like my decision is not always the same. It always depends. It varies on my circumstance. You handle it by saying shut up and do what you're told. Think how the fabrication is packaged and the logistics to get material on the job site. Articulating boom trucks loading the building are great. That's big, Joe. I'm making a point about deliveries. I pride myself on that. Like you were saying about carrying piece by piece up the stairs. I worked
it
with
was terrible.
I worked with companies that did that many times.
It was the
And
last time I did it. The other times I would make sure that whatever supply house we got, that was like part of the delivery.
I want the box. What do you call that? What do you call those big cardboard boxes on a pallet?
The cardboard ones?
Yeah, like just a big box on a
Oh
pallet.
man. Yes, it's a right. Usually the fittings are on there.
Yeah, I think I call it something, but I want somebody else to
That's why I
say
used to
it.
hide my big Yeti box at.
It's called something, but I want somebody else to say it. If you could please write it in the chat. That'd be great. Anyways, I wanted to say on that cardboard what floor it's going to, and like
Mm.
and when you're getting the delivery as the foreman, you should know like the seventh floor is coming, the seventh floor rough is being delivered with the seismic or whatever, and you need to be able to take the pipe off the truck in the bundle and put it on wheels. So if the truck doesn't have a piggyback, if the truck doesn't have a crane, you're not delivering me pipe. I want you to be able to grab that pipe with the boom and put it over on my cart, and then I'm going to put the cart on the exterior hoist, and I'm going to bring the cart strapped, the bundle's still strapped right to the floor where it goes, and we'll snip it on the floor. Because right there you save a lot of time, and if you can get a couple pieces in the air, then you're really making some money for the company. All right, I'm still going with comments here. Plead as you go. I hate when guys leave loose ends everywhere and go into the same spot 4 or 5 times. I feel the same way.
Do you clean up as you go, or do you clean up at the end? You
So
go back.
obviously we're way up in the chat now, so they're talking about things we were talking about before. But he's talking about like putting the pipe labels on, putting the end of the line clips on, doing the bracing before you leave the floor with the gang box, because you got to figure, for the most part, if you're on a high-rise building, you're fighting to get to the next floor. Like your main goal is to get on to the next floor. It gives you a little bit of excitement, gives you something to look forward to. But a lot of guys are like jumping the gun, and they're like, oh, like the Finnish guys will get that. Leave that like for the Finnish crew, and like leave that for the testing guys. Like no, just fucking do your job. Everybody, it gets easier for everybody down there, and like put the pipe label on. Like the guy on the ground that's handing you your pipe, or when you get the pipe, you put the ring on it. However you do it, you put the pipe label on the ground. Pipe label's already there. You can wrench it, you could Vic it. The pipe label's there, not bothering anybody, whether you're sticking it or it's a wraparound. I don't know if pipe labels are big for you, but pipe labels are big where we are. Every room needs a pipe label, and then like every I don't know 15 feet or
Pipe label as in a sticker.
yeah, but we use wraparounds.
Wrap around as in like a
I got one on my
what?
I got one on my counter.
I mean, we're not really labeling pipe, or at least when I was running it.
Oh yeah, you guys are doing
I
it
haven't
wrong.
seen it. Even on my jobs now that I'm project managing,
No, you're doing it wrong. Check out the specs, kid. You guys are probably just getting away with it.
there's a lot of things you don't do in Atlanta.
Wraparound.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, you're also doing hospitals.
Hospitals, yeah. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
FM
yeah,
Global, it's the Joint
yeah, yeah.
Commission jobs,
Yeah, I
I
know,
got
no, no,
Code
no.
Red watching and making sure your hangers are within 12 inches of the end. Like, people are checking on us and making sure we're doing our shit right. That's why I think up in the Northeast, we're really good at this shit because, like, we get called out.
People are
We
checking
get
in.
called
Yeah.
out. We can't just get away with, you know? I don't know. I feel like some jobs back in the day should have had pipe labels and maybe we just got away with it.
So getting off of deliveries, let's talk about material
Hold on,
management.
hold on. Let me catch up in the chat still. This chat is crazy. Where am I? I'm just gonna breeze through this. Never behind, never ahead. I like to be the one driving the pace of the
Never
job.
behind, never
Or
be.
it's true. You're never behind. You're never ahead. The pace of the job. Whereas I early as possible, like Brian said, I do like to drive the pace, make them keep up, lead the way. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. A lot of guys say that, but some guys are introverts or extroverts. Some guys are introverts and they don't want to sit in the shack. Like even the guys that get there early, sometimes they don't want to sit in the shack and be part of that. Like, sometimes those shack conversations are a little bit weird. But safety
Oh, they
squints,
get crazy.
gloves are
Yeah, for
becoming
sure.
mandatory. Splunking, that's what I was thinking. Space cadet.
Spelunking.
The
Yeah.
last company I worked for had mandatory glove requirement. It looks like climbing helmet. Spelunking. See, Chad came in.
Spelunking? Spelunking.
My dude, Chad. Thanks, Chad. Mountain climbing
You would
helmets,
know.
F COVID mask. Could I have done this way? Gee, wow, you guys are going way. I can't read all these. Crate, big fucking cardboard box.
A crate.
Crate, a crate, a
Ah,
crate.
that's a word.
Damn, that's not what I was looking for. You strapped the bundles, thank you, Bobby. Yes, strapped bundles, thank you, Bobby, and stacked that shit pretty. We made custom stickers. Really? I want stickers. They safety bike looking helmets, they're ridiculous, but we could have used one last week. Had a guy bend over, lose his hard hat, and came up to a forklift in the head.
Oh, what?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's the big thing is that like the majority of hard hat injuries now are like someone bends over and the hard hat falls off and then they bang their head. So now they want us wearing chin straps. I'm just not. I'm holding out. I'm resisting the chin strap. I'm not doing it.
Oof.
I won't do it.
All right, let's get back to the questions. All right, I
Resist.
got it. apprentice. You had the well, no, let's get the material management since we're talking about deliveries. Let's just hit that real quick. We got about 10 minutes.
Spray paint. So like I said before, if you're the foreman and you're getting deliveries, you're on a big job, you're getting deliveries, you should know like way ahead of time what is coming on the truck. You're not like the truck's not gonna pull up and you're gonna be like, what is it? I don't know what it is. Like you're gonna know so and so is delivering the seventh floor on next Tuesday. Like you're gonna know that info. And then so when you get to it, you might be able to say, all right, this bundle's going to the north, this bundle's going to the south. You might be able to hit it like with a green spray paint and a pink spray paint and try to differentiate. But either way, you're gonna boom it off the truck onto wheels and onto the elevator and to the seventh floor on wheels, and then you let the whatever floor foreman
Here's something
shag it
that
out,
I
as we
I
call
would
it.
do
So we
if
we get pipe trees. Sorry, we get. Have you ever heard of a pipe tree?
yeah,
Electricians are notorious for it, but it's just like a cart. It opens up, and then
right.
I would put all the mains on one, all the lines on the other, put like numbers together, make sure they're all facing the same way.
You get your pipe cut to where you can transport it in the elevator,
Yes, 100%.
pre-cut.
First day on the job site, if they're putting up an exterior hoist, it's probably gonna be like a shit. What are they? I think they're usually like 14 feet. Anyways, whatever the length of that hoist is, you got to let your office know. Do not cut me a piece of pipe bigger. I won't take it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and you need to get that
And
ahead,
and don't tell them
out
like
there quick.
don't cut it this big, it won't fit, or it's gonna take us longer. No, no, don't cut it bigger than this size, or I will not take it up. And they'll be like, okay, and they'll listen, because I'll just leave
Yeah.
that big pipe down there.
Last question. The apprentice. What do you do with the apprentice?
Which
You
apprentice?
got let's say you have a new apprentice. He's probably a year in. What jobs are you making him do, and how are you treating him? How are you keeping him motivated?
If the apprentice is not working directly with me, I would put him with the next best guy. You know, like you don't want like I don't want an apprentice with like a rookie journeyman. And
Mhm.
a journeyman of only a couple years has like an apprentice to himself. Like put two put two newer journeymen together and then put the apprentice with the veteran. Is how I would do it.
Okay.
But also like so I probably had like five apprentices, and one of them was really good at organizing. So when shit was in all disarray, organize. Go organize the patient floor, make a stock list. I want to know what I have up there. Organize the surgical floor, stock list, and he would come back with he would cut out cardboard and he would tell me everything that I had on each floor. And then someone would be like, "Hey, I'm missing this and that." And I'd be able to pull out my cardboard cutouts and I'd say, "Oh, I got one of those on level 7." And those lists were awesome. But you got to I think this is something that like DMX said, is you got to trust people how that they show you that they are.
Yeah.
So for instance, that apprentice, I knew everyone knows he's good at organizing. So let him fucking organize, right? If one guy's all he's talking about is how he loves hanging main, like let that guy hang the main.
So big jobs like that massive job where you had like 20 guys out there, how do you keep everything organized? And because it has to be organized, because if it's not, it's gonna be a complete disaster.
We're all sprinkler fitters. If it's not organized, someone's gonna be fucking pissing and moaning, and I'm gonna find right out about it. Like you picture your one of your journeymen or foreman goes up to his floor and something's wrong. What's he gonna do? He's gonna fucking call you. He's gonna let you know. He's gonna fucking this is fucked up. We're never gonna be able to finish. Like we're sprinkler guys. We make a big deal about everything. But for the most part, it's delegate. You need to delegate. You need to delegate. It's very, very important on a large job you delegate. If it's small enough where it's only going to be a three-man crew, then you oversee everything.
Hmm.
If it's a big, massive job with different sections, you have to delegate and you have to trust the guys that you're letting delegate and get answers from them and let them problem solve on their level. And that will make it go so much smoother and it will keep your head clear if you're just trying to fucking know everything. You need to delegate. And anyone who's in a foreman position should be getting foreman's pay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm a kid. I'm not a fan of bonus plans, and I know we talked about this before. I think it should be a good competitive rate, like
Yeah, but
really good competitive rate, and
they don't do bonuses in the union. If they do if someone's getting a bonus, they're not talking about it.
because the thing is too, like if if it's early, you'll get a bonus. But if it's on time or anything like that, or a little bit behind, and then you're fighting that and you're pushing that, it's almost like you're holding a treat above a dog, you know?
Right. And it's not always the fitters like the sales guy. Sorry, but the sales guy could have made a mistake. The sales guy could have like missed a mezzanine level or something, you know, and bam,
Oh, 1,000%.
that
That's the
right
biggest thing
that right
that
there will sink a whole job
God
just by
knows.
missing that mezzanine, you know, and that's there's no making that up. I forget like what there was a job where like we didn't it wasn't calced right or something. Some job where we put in like a bunch of 3-inch mains and had to go back and make them 4-inch mains, and it was all through cores, and all the cores were made to 5-inch holes, and they had to all be upsized to 6-inch holes, and it was a big oopsies, and it sucked the life out of the crew, because it was an oopsies that they didn't make that they had to deal with.
Yeah.
But so you get personalities, you got to deal with all the different personalities, give some advice on the way out. You got to be able to. We're in a business of the pipe is easy, sprinklers is easy. You could literally hit me up on Instagram and get any code that you needed, or Brian, like that. That's the easy part. Hang in the pipe, you drill the shield, you put some dope and tape on it, you put the pipe in, you vic it up. The hard part is dealing with the personalities. Okay, being able to delegate, don't micromanage, but it's always, I say, the personalities is big, and don't expect anyone to care as much as you. If you're the foreman, you should not be expecting not one other guy on or gal on that crew to care as much as you. They are not the foreman. You're the foreman. You're there to care, and you're there to try to entice them to care. But you shouldn't be like holding everyone to the standard that like you need to care as much as I do, because they won't. They just won't. And so and trust people to like if you got a guy that calls out all the time, you just trust that he's gonna call out. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe he'll do 40 hours this week. No, that motherfucker's probably gonna call out. You won't be upset when he does when you're trusting him to do what he shows you he's doing.
You put him on a position where it's it's lower time and it's not something that's important
Oh yeah, and
for
they know
sure.
that, and they go and go do cleanup and go do hot items because the GC's always calling. You gotta come and move this right now. We got a hit on whatever floor. You got to come. You're in the wrong spot. I really appreciate the comments. I wish I could read them all. You
Yeah,
guys are
and then
firing off
I
for me.
really appreciate you guys coming on, and I know this is different, and if you guys like this, we can bring up some other subjects and we can talk and um
Do
Bobby can interview me on some things and then
50%. Hold on. Do they make you torque test your anchors out that way? We just did a 3-story school building, which is
torque
governed
test.
governed by DSA, and they torque tested 50%. No, so we do. Again, if you were to put something in the specs, so right now, what's real big is those Sammys. I think they call them vertigos, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a 3/8 concrete Sammy. It's the easiest way to explain it. And to use them, we have to do what they call a pull test. And so you put a few of them in, and then they come out and they anchor something to the ground, and then they pull it, and then there's a chingus on there that tells you what the what it pulled out at. And if it doesn't meet a certain number, you can't use it on that job. And they usually always do, but I've never heard of them torque testing 50%. That seems like a friggin' waste of money. Love the duet. Love the duet tonight.
Duet. I guess it's a duet. All right.
Good designs add profits. Good design is big too. Good design, and you gotta have an off. You gotta have an office that supports you. You can't just be out there willy nilly by yourself. You gotta have. I have a good contact in the office, a project manager, whoever is on that job for the project manager, and they answer the phone and they help me out, and you got to keep them in your back pocket. Same with the designer. The designer has to be up to speed with the things that you like and how to help you out. And I don't like when they sub the design out because that happened on the last one and that was tough.
And decentralized command. If you have multiple formats, you have to make sure that um they are taking ownership of their project.
Oh well, yeah, 100%. If something goes wrong on
Yeah.
like if I get a call something's wrong on the fifth floor, I'm calling my fifth floor guy. Like, meet me here. Something's wrong. We gotta go look at this, because we're gonna look at it together and figure a solution, and they're gonna fix it. Had a day one apprentice today on site with me, and he got him grooving and cutting and how to measure takeouts on pipe fittings and put up hangers, install mechanical tees, and use them slide lock couplings. Damn, you're really putting him to work, Tristan, huh? I like that for a day one guy.
Day
He's gonna
one.
be something. I was cutting and grooving light wall 6-inch on my first day.
Speaking of day one, you're
If you,
hanging pipe day one.
yeah, oh yeah.
Hanging pipe day one.
If you want to make money, the delivery should not take you all day. You should never snip a bundle on the truck, ever. All right, there's a way to do this, and it's not snipping the bundles on the truck. The bundle should be on a cart, brought to the floor. I say it all the time, and you got to be finding those first pieces. Find the starting point, and the best way to find a starting point is to just ask the super, where do you want me to start? He's going to say, all right, we're starting in the north, we're working to the south, or we're going to start west and work east. The super's going to tell you where to start every time. It's not going to be your decision. Don't make it your decision. Ask him where he wants you to start. Find this piece, find that piece, build yourself a corner, take off.
Get
I'm
started.
a firm believer of having pipe in the air on delivery day. Like, you get up as much as you can.
Me too.
Look back at it.
100%.
If you
Absolutely.
like
Hey
it,
guys,
teach him. That's a
great
big no to
episode. And
them.
it wasn't as, the first time we tried to do this, it was terrible. But with it being structured like this, I think it went really well. I had fun.
The best pranks from jobs would be a good show. I've got some good pranks. We've been doing some good pranks. I got Eric the other day with the old Teflon. You could do a lot of pranks with Teflon.
Yeah,
Does weather
absolutely.
slow you down? I dig the platform tonight. We really appreciate you guys and all the feedback. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you guys always for being here. This is fun. I enjoy doing this.
Absolutely. And join the movement. Share us. Let everybody else know about us.
If you think you
Um,
if you have someone you think should come on the show, let us know. We're actively booking. If you want to come on the show, let us know. I see a few of you guys on here that are going to be coming up. Becky's coming on the show soon. We're having Matt back on the show.
oh
Probably,
shoot. Thursday. Thursday's huge.
what's Thursday? Oh, Thursday's
Thursday is, I don't know if
Ashley.
y'all know this, but definitely in the southeast, Ashley Klein. So she's no longer in fire protection, but she is an OG recruiter and she's freaking good. And she's gonna talk about how to market yourself and how to do interviews, how to do your resumes. And we're going to go deep into that to get you guys more organized and a little bit polished on finding jobs.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's going to be Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
She just has so much
And we'll
knowledge in
see you
that.
guys there. Thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good evening. Thank you. I
Thank you,
really liked
guys.
the discussion tonight. It's really informative for an apprentice like myself. Corlin, appreciate it. That's the kind of feedback we're looking for. Can we get one more like so we have 10 before we go? Chandler, if you're 15 minutes before your time, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. I know. Smoking, hello. Sorry for bothering you. I want to offer a promotion for your channel. No, no, no. No thanks.
Yeah, we're good.
Appreciate it. All right, we're out of here. Thank you guys for watching.